Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's PreMarket Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Wednesday edition of Benzinga's PreMarket Prep. Spencer Israel, Joel Elconin, Dennis Dick out, left us for the Caribbean for the week. So just Joel and I this morning. We will be joined in about a half hour or so by our guest today, Dan Zanger. Chartpatterns.com is his site. He's a well-known momentum and technical trader, so he'll give us some ideas. But as far as stocks on our radar, I see a few in our chat already that was on our list. I see Overstock. They've traded up nicely since their crypto trading platform launched about a month ago. We, of course, had Garmin earnings, good call yesterday from our guest Ivan Feinseth on that report. We also have the Fed minutes out today. We have Southwest Airlines warning about impacts from the government shutdown. We have earnings also from Herbalife and Wix and Southern Company and a few others that we're going to discuss as well. So a lot to get to on today's show. Joel, what's the word here in the overnight session?
We're flat here, Spencer. We're down $1.50, $1.75 at 27.77. Interesting area here. You have the high close of the move yesterday at 78.75. Friday's close right here at 77 even, and your daily pivot here. So that's your swing area. We're holding in there now, so we'll see what happens later in the session. Pre-market high. They couldn't get up to Tuesday's high, which was 87.50. 82.25 stands as your pre-market high. On the downside, 73.25 comes into your pre-market low. I don't see anything there. I see Tuesday's intraday low that came in at 27. Well, it was the same, 27.66. No downside in the market until we take out that level. Later on today, we do have the Fed minutes coming, so I think that could be something perhaps to shake up the market a little bit. We have crude in the red here by 33 cents and potential, and only let me say a potential double top here, 56.73, 56.77. So if you're looking for area of resistance, there it is in the crude market. Gold continues its assault here on 12.50, trading up 270 at 13.47.50. And silver, a little bit of the laggard here. Silver has not made a new high of the move yet. I'm looking for this to get to 16.20, which was your high on January 31st. So, Spencer, what are we going to do for a whole week without Dennis kvetching? You know what kvetching means?
I know what the kvetching means. Yeah, mom. It's like mom and dad are gone, and we have the house to ourselves. I don't know what we're going to do. Maybe make fun of him more than we would if he was normally here to defend himself, but he is not.
I was going to make fun of him yesterday, but
for which call?
For what? You know what? It wasn't a call or anything, but the way he had his microphone on, I don't know if you noticed this. Did you notice this yesterday? But it looked like he had like a man bun. Okay. Did you see? Because all his hair was like knotted up in the back, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to say Dennis has a man bun.
There's nothing wrong with a man bun. I don't know what.
Well, you got to have it. He doesn't have enough hair to have a man.
That's true. He doesn't.
You got to have a lot of hair. So we don't have to listen about any of his overnight positions going with him or against him. But he needs a vacation, man. That guy is a workaholic. And just think about it, Spencer. The time we were doing the show, how many weeks off has he taken over the last couple of years?
Not many. And he gets up at what, 5 or 6 to trade, and then he's up until 8 trading. So yeah, the guy, and he's got 2 young kids. So I mean, he needs a break. So he needs a break. But I want to start today with
let's get to the markets.
I want to start with Tesla here because it's just funny how different people can read the same thing and interpret it in different ways. So last night, Elon Musk tweeted at around 7 o'clock p.m. He tweeted that Tesla's going to make around 500,000 cars in 2019. That would be really big news because Tesla's guidance is for 400,000 cars to be made this year. But then he corrected the record 4 hours later. So he's either 4.5 hours. So he's either that was either like a troll or he's learning and getting better, because he corrected the record by saying he meant to say that their annualized production rate at the end of the year will be around 500,000 cars, i.e. 10,000 cars per week. Their deliveries are still set to be around the originally given number of 400,000. So no new news, but it's just funny how people read that and react different ways. Are they, oh, he's like correcting himself, he's getting better. Oh, or nope, taking a shot at the SEC again. It's just funny.
Or he got a call from his attorney and said,
or that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's something that perhaps I'm just going to talk about it technically. I mean, because if you talk about 500,000 cars, I mean, that's not much. I mean, how they're going to be profitable? They are profitable here. Actually, something just happened.
Yeah, I know.
Tesla. What did you do?
I was about to say something just happened because Bloomberg citing the Journal saying that Tesla's general counsel is leaving.
Oi, you got to be kidding me.
So maybe he didn't talk to his attorney last night.
No, he did talk to his attorney, and he told them that they were leaving. Wow. Okay. You don't want to have anything to do with accounting, and you don't want any problems with accounting, and you don't want to have any problems with your law unit. So I don't know. You just took a big drop down there. I don't know. I've told you, I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. This stock, it's usually modus operandi is to go to 300 and then rally back, but it's just been kind of looking tired as of late. And this certainly isn't helping the news. Let's see, where'd you spike to there? 301.01. That's a target on the downside. We're already back at 303. Last time we were under 300. You had a low at 298.50 if you're looking at another potential target on the downside here. But I'll wait for confirmation on that. That's some pretty big news to start to show. Not good for Tesla shareholders. And as I mentioned, another target on the downside, 298.50.
Yeah, and I didn't know that had happened when I brought up Tesla a minute beforehand. So it is a morning of coincidental timing, because we also had that happen in Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs downgraded Southwest Airlines this morning, a downgrade to sell, and they lowered their price target to $54. And not long, dare I say, minutes after that downgrade sort of made its way around Wall Street, Southwest came out and they warned. They warned that the effects of the government shutdown were greater than they thought, and they lowered their what did they lower here? They said the impact on their first quarter revenue will be from the shutdown will be about $60 million, which is larger. Originally, they had said it would be around 10 to 15 million just for January, or for the first 3 weeks of the month. So they're saying it's going to have a greater impact than they had previously thought. They lowered their first quarter revenue per available seat mile guidance by 1 percentage point, from 4 to 5 to 3 to 4%. So they warned, and Goldman downgraded coincidentally, and that is your story for Southwest here.
Yeah, and we'll just go over the technicals real quick. Basis the daily, you had Love just having a nice run up, and then tight consolidation periods. And as we talked about on the show, consolidation periods can be as important, if not more important, than daily high lows, because it gives you an area where the bulls and the bears are squaring off. And here, the Bears are winning this one with that bad news. You went all the way down to 54.93. You bounced, but only 40 cents away from that level. Let's take a look at the dailies. I see a low at 54.89, and then you look into the lower 54 handle, then under 53. This is a big move for Southwest. So, do I think it's going to be down $4, $5, $6, $8, $10? No. There's definitely some people stuck long after this big run. On a rally, can we even get to the bottom of yesterday's range? Yeah, maybe 56.66 was your low from yesterday's session. So if you're looking for a gap fill on a rally, that would be your target. The close from yesterday, I doubt we'll see that with the negative news. 57.67 But I mean, is Southwest. I mean, their main hub is in DC. I mean, is this going to affect other airlines, or do you think other companies are going to, feel similar effects?
I don't know. I'm looking through my earnings calendar right now. The airlines have all long since reported for the quarter.
Correct.
So we didn't really get any too big surprises from any of them. It is interesting that they would warn a month or so after their report from the previous quarter. I don't know. I guess I would say if you don't hear anything in the next week, then I would say no.
Okay.
But these companies tend to piggyback off one another in terms of bad news. So I would say, especially if you don't hear anything Friday. If you don't hear anything Friday afternoon, then I would say we're in the clear.
Okay. All right. Well, keep an eye on your other airline stocks, especially with ones using DC as a primary destination. And also, we'll see. I mean, the shutdown was in January and part of February, so we're not going to see the effects on the GDP or on other individual companies here until the next quarter.
Exactly.
It was significant enough for Southwest to come out and warn the street. So interesting news. The airline sector is always tough. They move. A lot of them move in tandem here. Love near the high of the move, pulling back.
All right, let's get to the earnings parade here. Hat tip out to Ivan Feinseth on our show yesterday. He said he was bullish Garmin heading into their report. Well, they had an amazing quarter, apparently. So the Q4 adjusted EPS from Garmin here, $1.02 versus an 80-cent estimate. Sales of $932 versus $891 million. So nice beats for the Q4 EPS and sales. Their fiscal year sales guidance was also higher than expected. Their fiscal year EPS guidance was also higher than expected, though they have given some of these gains back here this morning. It was all in all an amazing report.
And Mr. Feinseth, I mean, he just hasn't been bullish Garmin on our show. He's been, the show from yesterday, but on previous shows as well. So he's been a long time bull here. You got a nice spike, couple of huge green candles, and you got up to 77.44. You're leaking now. You're $2.50 off that high. I expect that to hold as the high of the day, as sellers have already started to fill in there. I'll just give you the high of the current bracket at 77 even, and that's still $2 away. So far the pop has been sold. I'd be more inclined to try and sell this one or short it on the rally. Where to buy the dip? After the news broke, you got a print here at 73 even, so that's still $2 away. Really hard to find good resistance on the monthly chart. Believe it or not, this stock was once over $120. You are now, I got a level for you, even though we're trading above it. 73.60 was your high back in February of 2008. So we are there. So if you've been holding on to this stock for 11 years, you're getting a chance to break even here, a couple bucks above it. So let's see if we can stay above 73.60.
Yeah, I had to go back to the monthlies. Oh, I did not realize that Garmin was 120, 130, whatever they were. What's the all-time high there? 130 something?
The all-time high is 122.78.
Wow. Oh man. Okay. Well, if you held on this long, you might as well keep on holding on.
Well, and wasn't their original product, probably showing my age here again, the thing, the GPS that you stick in the car, and you put on the dashboard.
Yep, we had that.
Yep. And now everyone has it on their phone. But I'm a watch guy, and Ivan mentioned that watch yesterday, and then Dennis said that he had it, and always trying to do better health. So when my next watch breaks, I'm going to go check out a Garmin there. Not sure what that's going to do, but and you had one. Yours didn't last very long.
No,
right?
mine didn't last very long, but them's the breaks. All right, let's go to Herbalife here. Another one Ivan has been a long-term bull on. I'm not quite sure how I feel about them, but the stock is the stock, and they beat again, yesterday on their earnings report, the Q4 adjusted EPS, 63 cents, beat by 2 cents. Sales 1.2 versus $1.19 billion. So slight beat on that number as well. The EPS guidance they gave was in line. Or for the quarter and for the fiscal year. So inline EPS guidance and the Q4 earnings beats for Herbalife.
All right. Big ol' pop. They really got excited on this number, took it all the way up to 60.50. But what I can't ignore here in this stock, if you're an Herbalife trader, is all these highs here, right? Let's just call it 58.45. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 highs right between, let's call it 58.50. That's your area of resistance. You did blow through it during the after hours trading, but you've come back down to it. So there's been a seller there the last 4 or 5 days. Let's see if even more than that. So 58.50, that's a big level on the upside. You're still green on the session. Weekday yesterday, so important for the stock to maintain 57.44. Or you're looking at the recent little dip it had, 56.21. So there is a couple numbers in Herbalife.
Devon Energy had an interesting report. So the EPS they gave adjusted EPS 10 cents versus a 32-cent estimate. So a miss on that. The revenue beat 3.7 versus $2.6 billion. But outside of the EPS and the revenue for the quarter, they also did a couple things to sort of juice their trading here this morning. So Devon they raised their quarterly dividend by a penny from 8 cents to 9 cents, and they added $1 billion to their buyback plan.
Nice. Trading up near the highs of the pre-market session. Boom, your initial surge took you to 30.38. Now you're just hanging out at $30 here, and not too far from that high. So you want to see continuation through that pre-market high and get to greener areas on the monthlies. I mean, this is like a lot of these other stocks, they're trying to get off the mat. Your next monthly high comes in at 34.65. Don't think that will come into play today, but when you got the gap up and you got the run here, it's still holding. So I don't, $30 is too close to say needs to hold 30, but 29.70, 29.80, keep it going to the upside. The only thing I just want to caution some traders is you've had a really nice run in 2019, started the year at $22, and a majority of that run has taken place over the last 5 or 6 sessions. So nice run up into the report, nice run up for 2019. We'll just have to see if there's any profit takers out there.
Let's get to the other side of the market here, the losers of the morning, and we'll start with Wix. Their earnings report was good, but their guidance was a little bit light. The Q4 EPS they gave 42 cents versus a 32-cent estimate. Sales of 164 versus 162 million dollars. So I mentioned the good Q4 numbers, but the Q1 numbers they gave were a little bit light. The Q1 sales guidance was 172 versus $176 million, and the fiscal year sales guidance was light. 755 is the low end. Million is the low end of the sales guidance they gave. 761 million was the estimate there. So a little bit light on their sales guidance for the quarter and for the year.
Boy, is this a candidate to do a Shopify? Stock trading at an all-time high. Shorts absolutely stuffed over, let's just call it February and January. You're getting a nice windfall if you're short here, coming back down to 115. I don't know if it's ready to go yet, Spencer. 113.44 is your pre-market low. You're $1.50 off that. So if you want to try and, buy the dip here at 115, I think you have to let it go if it takes out that pre-market low of 113.44. Have absolutely no idea where this thing's going to stop on the upside. You still just you got a few green candles, nothing great. I mean, is there air in this thing? I mean, you can look at the daily lows. And you could say 112.15 or 110.81, 106.59. Those are just some of your daily lows here. But if you're looking for like a Shopify top reaction, you just want it to hold that pre-market low 113.44 and turn north. Is this Is this a web? I know I always say, is this a candle making company? But I know it's not. It's what, a website company or something?
Yeah, I was actually going to ask if you've seen their ads, because they advertise all over the internet. Do you ever see them?
No, I
Oh,
don't.
okay,
I
yeah.
don't.
They're a website making platform, essentially, and
Really?
they advertise all over the place, all over YouTube, every social media site. I mean, to me at least, I get served their ads all the time. So they're looking for people like me, I guess, and I don't know, but yeah, I do see them everywhere. Let's go to CVS here. CVS Health reported this morning Q4 adjusted EPS of $2.14 versus a $2.05 estimate. Sales 54.4 billion versus 54.58 billion, so a slight sales miss to go with that EPS beat for the quarter. Their fiscal year guidance that they gave for the EPS was light, however. They gave a range of $6.68 to $6.88, and the estimate was all the way up at $7.41. So some light fiscal year EPS guidance here for CVS Health.
Wow, all these gains over the last week or so, week and a half, poof, gone. Trading down $5.23, trading at the lows of the pre-market session, 64.50, currently trading 64.53. No bounce as of yet. I'll just have to go to these candles going back a few days, and 64.36. I mean, if you want to lean on that, that was your low back on February 8th. But after that, maybe be more inclined to wait for 62.88. That was your low on February 1st. Someone's mentioning, Jazz is mentioning, the CVS Aetna deal is in a mess. Did they give any details on that? That's
not that I saw. I was actually wondering if that deal had closed, but I thought it had closed by now. But I don't have any details as far as the conclusion of that story. But
wow, the general counsel for Tesla was there for 2 months.
Oh, man.
I wonder what kind of severance package you got. Wow, that's bad news. Currently trading at that magic $300 level, down 564 here. But man, oh man, good news for the Bears, bad news for the Bulls. So we'll see what happens here in Tesla. Wow, after only 2 months, and coincidental with what he was doing, some of the information that was disclosed last night. So not good news for Tesla.
Who didn't they have someone else who worked there for like 2 weeks? Was it like the head of investor relations or the head of PR? Do you remember that? I feel like it was in the fall. It was in September or the August or October range. Do you?
Well, I think it was the CFO.
Was that the CFO?
I think. Don't quote me on it. Maybe the chat.
Maybe. But I feel like they were there for like a week, and then he was like, "Oh no, I didn't know what I was getting into. That I don't want any part of this."
Not good at all. I mean, if you want to use this as a buying opportunity, I don't know. Is this stock, it's been so resilient. It's had so many times where it was counted out for dead, and it just keeps coming back. But man, this is bad news when there's changes like this in the C-suite.
I think they're going to be stuck in this range here until they can really, the only thing is that they can do is show they can make more cars. I think, and meet their targets is probably the only thing that'll.
And that's not a hell of a lot of targets, I mean, that's not a hell of a lot of cars. Also, they got some refinancing coming up, I think, in March. Yeah. So that a problem, and there's certainly a problem too. But we'll see. We'll keep an eye on here on Tesla, down 544, trading at that magical $300 number.
All right, it's a little unfortunate that Dennis is out the day we're going to talk. The 1 day a quarter, we talk about Lazy Boy, but they did report earnings after the bell yesterday. Their Q3 EPS, 63 cents versus a 55-cent estimate for LZB. Sales of $467 versus $457 million. So beats on both top and bottom lines for Lazy Boy in the quarter. We're not going to get the famed Dennis Lazy Boy story, unfortunately, where his friend got stuck in the chair, but we can talk about the stock.
We sure can. And it had the last pop off earnings, and it gave it all back and then some. But of course, you had the market falling apart too. Nice run up in the earnings here for the Monroe, Michigan company, where I was born and raised. You got a spike all the way up to 34.45. And now you're just hanging out at the 33.50 area. A little bit of volume trading. I just kind of use this area where we're trading at 33.50. Hold it up here, go up and test that pre-market high. I just be careful. I think this thing is reverses, which is done off other reports. It's a kind of a thin one coming back on the downside to get to yesterday's close. Would be your first area of support at 32.22 and then 31.19. But folks, just keep in mind another stock that has had a decent 3-4 point run since February 8th close at 29.15, and historically it's just been in a trading range from 25 to 35. Going back to early 2017. So we'll see if the trading range persists here in lazy boy chairs. And I guess if you're, this could be a good sign for the housing, for the account, right?
That's a little bit of a stretch. I would
stretch.
Say,
okay.
I mean, next week we're going to get Toll Brothers, so that'll be a better indicator of housing than lazy boy. Let's talk about UBS here. UBS is joining Deutsche Bank in the club of recently indicted banks. They got fined in a French court 3.7 billion euros in a money laundering case here this morning. Stock trading down to the lower $12 handle.
Okay, that is definitely some horrible news here for UBS.
Recently fined. I shouldn't say indicted. I should say recently fined.
Okay, let's take a look here. Trading in the red. This is more, your European banks, brokerage, malaise here. Trading down. What are we trading down here? Not a whole lot. I mean, they're taking this news in stride. Had a close at 12.68. You're trading down here. I don't know. I mean, the news has already been baked in over there. So we'll see a lot of air in this thing between 12.20 and 12.60 where you're currently trading. So, man, I would use this low. What do we get to? We got 12.14. I use that as your support point. After that, things really drop off to 11.70 here. But a lot of this has already been, overseas markets. It's already been baked in there. So primary market has already figured this out. But UBS here, not looking good in Wednesday session.
All right, 8:28. We got about 7 minutes or so before we're going to grab our guests. So I want to hit on as many stocks as we can, and then we can use the time after Dan Zanger to do a little bit of a ticker time with the chat. If you have any tickers, throw them in there, and we will break down the charts. But let's go to this is one that was mentioned in the chat and was on my list to discuss, and that was Overstock. Overstock, it's been about a month now since Overstock's crypto trading platform T0 launched, and you can see really over the last month it's been on a nice, slow and steady march higher. And there's no particular news this morning that I've seen. I wanted to bring it up just to note that really in the last 3.5 weeks or so, since January, 24th? Was that when it launched? So it's been on a nice, kind of quietly marching higher here.
Yeah, and have you heard any results? Is there any volume on it? That's what I would be curious about, unless this is just speculation. But you can't argue with the price action here, even since 2019. The stock was under $14. I think some people in the chat were talking about that one a little bit. Big old green candle yesterday. Closed at the high of the session, right off the high. So now 22.86. So you did back off the high. Big volume day. And the fact that you backed off like that makes me think you may have found a temporary top here. Big volume yesterday, 6.2 million versus 1.65 yesterday. So important for this to get back that 70 cents that it lost yesterday. Let's call it 22.86 all the way up to 23. on the monthly charts, this thing, I remember this thing fell out of bed. 2250 was an area of resistance in November. So let's use that yesterday's high, 22.5, 23. Important area to clear to go for that next monthly high at 28.95. Someone did mention, the Bitcoin had a little bit of a rally in the GBTC and whatnot here, but it's had a huge decline. I remember this thing, 89.80 all the way down to 13.10. So you could get a meaningful retracement here. I don't know how exactly it's going to roll to the bottom line there for overstock.com.
Solar was hot yesterday.
And did anyone see any news?
I looked for news. I didn't see anything in particular, but it specifically Jinko Solar, JKS, had its best day, and I don't even know how long, but a huge green candle yesterday from Jinko Solar. Let me see if I can look up how when they last had a day this good, because it's been a while for Jinko Solar.
Without knowing the news, and I'll just go with this technically here. Boy, you had a bunch of highs right around 1693. I see 1699, and then you got to push through. So you had the breakout. Before that, you had a run up, consolidation, break out of the consolidation phase up to the upside. And the only thing I'd say, about this is, man, solar hasn't been hot in a while. No pun intended there. But, different things, pot stocks, they have their runs, and certainly been in the news a lot lately, your solar stocks. And it just seems like it's been a long time here since you've had a big run in solar. Maybe we'll try and track down Gordon Johnson to get his input on this. It dragged First Solar along with it. First Solar had a real nice day yesterday. So added almost 3 points. So is this like a one-off deal? Is this a 2-day move? Or, is solar coming back into play here? I think we'll see what happens today. The fact that other one closed off the high so much makes me a little bit skeptical. But these stocks can move, and once they get going in one direction, it's hard to stop them. So
Jinko Solar had its best day since November 5th of last year. And prior to that, it had been their best day in several years, going back to 2014. So a rare day yesterday for Jinko Solar. Good point in the chat from Griffin. First Solar reports earnings tomorrow morning. And let me check if that's before or after the bell. They're reporting tomorrow in my Benzinga Pro. Not loaded. Well, tomorrow is First Solar earnings, so good point to bring that up. If you're trading that stock, don't forget, they are after the bell. So after the bell tomorrow is First Solar. We got about a minute or so before we're going to go to our guest today. Let's do real quick. Let's talk about GOOS on my list to discuss here.
Okay, good stock.
Canada GOOS. I guess we're buying the dip now or something. I don't know.
Well, if you were buying it on that first day, you had to take some heat the second day, and this is a pretty I took my eye off this one. You had the low on earnings day at 51.17. Right, you took it out the next day, and you were thinking, okay, you took out the low for the move, but you didn't really have a higher close or close above that low. So if you waited another day, you got a double bottom to lean on. Did you know it was going to be a double bottom when it came down there? No, but psychological $50 level, it held. And you also have to think about this one, some shorts that maybe caught this on that day, because you had a chance to hit that during the regular session. So got a nice double bottom to lean on. If you're getting it now, you're 5 points away from that. Just let me figure a retracement here real quick. Let's call it from 60 to 50, 55. Next area of resistance here, that'd be a 50% retracement. No daily lows there to talk about. 53.64. We are trading above that. That was a 2-day high. So nice move for the GOOS, rebounding from that earnings report.
All right, let's go grab today's guest, Dan Zanger, a famed momentum trader, founder of chartpattern.com. So we'll be right back in a moment here with Mr. Zanger. All right, welcome back, everyone. As promised, we are on the line with Dan Zanger, momentum trader, founder of ChartPattern.com. Mr. Zanger, it's been a while since we spoke. How have things been going?
Things have been going well, Mark. Other than a minor correction there, market's pretty much been straight up. 3-month, 4-month correction, which is, in my opinion, long overdue. But I'm glad that we got it. Certainly needed one. Usually you get one a year, so it hasn't been that way lately. But that was a doozy, and hopefully cleaned out a lot of people, and created a lot of fear, which the fear index, the VIX, ran up to about 35, so that was good. And now we're moving back down. Right now, I notice volume is drying up quite a bit, especially yesterday. And I don't know if today will be the same.
What does that say when you have a big move up, which we've had, and you come to we're back up near the December highs here, and the volume starts to dry up? Is that just just buyers just taking a little break, buyers and sellers squaring off? How do you interpret that price action?
Well, I think people are in a wait and see attitude right now, seeing what's going on with China news, whether there's a deal or not come March 1st, or what's happening. Certainly at an area of resistance here, but I didn't see many sellers yesterday. Stocks were pretty much unchanged, maybe either up $1 or down $1. I just certainly is a lack of buyers at this area. At least yesterday there was. So none of the charts look like they're ready to roll over. So I don't think we're in for a pullback yet. But the straight up channel that you see needs to hold. Once you break the channel, then you could be talking a retracement of some sort. But it's a very strong V move off the bottom. These V channels, like you see V formations off the bottom, are very powerful, and usually suggest even higher prices to come.
All right, so you think we got the okay here to, as long as we get a deal done with China, go back up and test all-time highs here, or you think there's a chance?
If we get a deal with China, I think we go back to all-time highs. If we don't, then I think we see some retracement, because 15% added onto the 10%, that's a hell of a tax for Americans to pay. It's a tax on Americans. So,
what is the definition of a chart rolling over? Do you have one that comes to the top of your mind? Is it something that has a big run up and then a consolidation phase? Is there anything you could?
Yeah, it starts to get choppy at the top. It had a big run up. It starts to get choppy at the top, may create a head and shoulders, or break a rising channel. I call them a frozen rope, like this move up here off the lows. It looks like a nice frozen rope. It's just straight as could be, and it's straight up. You've created a channel on the top and the bottom of it, and it breaks the channel to the right.
Okay.
And you'll usually get a nice move down as soon as the channel is broken. So, but generally you see a lot of choppy behavior at the top, and that's a lot of institutions selling into weaker hands, a lot of distribution taking place, and once that takes place, then you're going to be, looking for a move to the downside.
All right, let's try a little something different here, a little different segment. I know you gave us a couple stocks here that that you're already in and that are moving nicely. But let's say we hypothetically give you $100,000, and you got to buy 2 stocks and you got to short 2 stocks. And let's say your holding period is 6 months. Could you give us 2 stocks that you like, either the fundamentals or the technicals, and you'd be willing to hold long for 6 months, and 2 stocks on the short side?
Well, I like Boeing quite a bit. It's got good fundamentals, a big cap stock, moving quite well into all-time new highs, which is very positive. NOW, ServiceNow, looking very well. Also into all-time new highs, and stock that's into all-time new highs, they have no losers, and everybody's a winner, so they're less likely to sell. And if you want to buy the stock, you're going to have to start paying up. So those 2 come to my mind really, really quick. Another one would be COUP. We had that one in the $70 range. It's $93 now, also into new highs. I mean, this stock just rocketed into new highs and just kept on going.
What would be, I mean, for those, I mean, do you have anything on the buy side here? Like if you're afraid of heights, you know, like me and some of the other people in the chat is because for this.
Well, anything that's not too extended. I mean, MLNX has super earnings. It's just breaking out into new highs now. And MLNX, not too extended if you're afraid of heights.
Okay. So
that
these
that
are
one
all
looks good.
Yeah. So you're not in the you're not in the bottom fishing mode here at all.
I never am, because there's too many people who are ready to sell who are underwater. When the stock starts to come back up, they call that overhead supply, and they start selling. So you're fighting those people, and it's best to find stocks into all-time new highs. Again, everybody has a profit, and people are less likely to sell, so you have much tighter hands holding the stock. So I'm a buy high and sell higher kind of a guy.
What would you use for, so let's say, you dabbled in the Boeing here. Let's say, listen to Benzinga's PreMarket Prep show and Mr. Zanger, they like your predictions, everything, and you're buying this, and let's call it 416.75. Is this something that if you're holding for 6 months, would you want to put a stop in anywhere? Do you have a target?
Well, I'd raise stops. I don't have a target. I mean, there's some analysts out there, 440, 450.
Wow.
But I raise stops as the stock moves up. You don't want to let a stock get away from you. You need to lock in gains. I typically like to sell as the stock is moving up. If it's moved up 20%, I might sell 20% of my position. Stock moves up 40%, I might sell another 20% or so. Let the rest ride for a considerable period of time, and see how it goes.
We got it. All right, here's one that looks like it's up your alley. Yeti, YETE. Rob Hood is asking about Yeti. Too much, too soon. Is that? I think that's the Yeti cup, right? It keeps keeps stuff really cold. YETI. YETI.
Yeah.
Could you take a look at that one? Is that?
Yeah, had a nice breakaway gap. Good earnings. It was at 19. Had a nice breakaway gap on earnings to 20 and ran to 23, all on very heavy volume. So it looks like a keeper. Definitely right up my alley insofar as chart pattern wise and earnings and volume. So it has everything I'm looking for to buy the stock. I'm not sure I'd buy it right here, right now. It's already up quite a bit percentage-wise. Maybe it rests for a week or two, creates a flag area, and then extends into new highs. I'd be a buyer then.
Okay. What about we're getting some questions from the chat here. How about CyberArk, CYBR? Any thoughts on CYBR?
Yeah, another breakaway gap on very good earnings into all-time new highs. Nice flag being created here. I'd be a buyer right in the 102, 103, 104 area. That's the flag. So you don't necessarily buy at all-time new highs. You break on the descending channel break. So that'd probably be about 103 or so. Again, you want to see volume expand. Maybe volume of 2 million shares on that day would be good, but it definitely looks good. It's in a good group right now too. So that's also a good one. Good going, Chad.
We're getting a lot of questions now from the chat, but I just want to get to one real quick. Are there a couple of stocks to give us in our fictional portfolio game you'd like on the short side?
In a strong market, playing the short side doesn't pay. So market's just too strong right now. I just don't see anything that I would consider shorting at all. Everything is usually right now, from what I see, is higher highs and higher lows on almost everything, and that it's a sign of a strong market, very strong market, in fact. So I don't really see anything at all that would pique my interest on the short side. Unfortunately.
But if you did, I mean, I would imagine that you would just flip these charts upside down, right? And instead of stocks,
if you flip these charts upside down, then they would be good-looking shorts.
Right. Just something trading at the low, people in pain and being inflicted on more pain. So, okay. All right. And then just some more stocks pop out of the chat here. John Deere.
Well, TTD, very strong. Doesn't give up.
Good one.
Shopify doesn't give up. I know you folks were talking about that earlier. Just gapped down in earnings and turned right around and shot straight back up again. So that's a very bullish sign. Not too much for earnings, but Street seems to like it for whatever reason.
Dan, question about your favorite patterns. Do you have a favorite pattern or?
Well, I don't really have a favorite pattern. I think a cup and handle, which there aren't too many of, can be quite powerful if you can see a good one. Most people have a tough time seeing a good cup and handle. Usually the handle or the cup is very defective looking when they call one out. But if you see a very ideal looking cup and handle, the best time is to buy the handle area is when they post earnings and it leaves the handle area and makes a new high. You'd be buying that. That's one of my favorites. And then a straight channel pattern, horizontal pattern like your JKS had that just came out of the channel pattern, the solar stock. That was a very good looking pattern, nice straight horizontal pattern. SQ creating a nice horizontal pattern right here over the past month or so, with earnings coming up. As soon as it leaves the channel area here, I'd be a buyer of it. On earnings news, on volume, of course. I think those are two of my favorite patterns. Flags are, I don't know. I see lately more failure rate than I'd like to see on flags there, especially on New York Stock Exchange. Flags don't seem to work as well as on the NASDAQ. So,
interesting observation.
Got to be careful with the flags. Also, when you see a flag, usually the stock is very extended, so that makes it a little bit more difficult to consider, especially if you're trading anything on size. You're going to buy 30 or 50, 70,000 shares. A little more difficult to do trading a flag.
Now, when you're hunting around for patterns, is it just pulling up a chart and reading it, or do you have special scanners that you use, or how do you identify these patterns?
I go through. I have a tag list. I've tagged all the big movers in the market, and I go through every day and every night. I scan the entire. I don't do an automatic scan, but I flip through them manually. I may have 600 to 800 stocks. It used to be about 1,300, and I like to just go through and manually flip through each stock and take a look at the pattern. It's the chart pattern first, and if you have a very good looking chart pattern, you can go to the fundamentals, and you'll see it has very good fundamentals as a general rule. Of course, unless it's a biotech, but it may have a good candidate for a phase 3 trial or an FDA approval or something like that. But it's all about chart patterns. You find a great chart, you're going to find a stock that's going to get ready to move, and then you're on it. And you got to be ahead of the game. You got to do your homework. All about homework, a lot of homework.
One more, Dan, and then we'll let you run here. But we talk a lot about on the show, about knowing when to sell and just taking the winner while you can, or holding a little longer, letting it ride. How do you and this also when you're on the wrong side of the trade, when you're on the losing side, how do you minimize your losers when you're
if you're on the losing side, just get out. Don't wait for anything. You're underwater, and you just need to sell out. There's just no two ways about it. You just don't hold a loser. And insofar as stock that's on its way up, it'll create a rising channel of some sort, maybe at a 45-degree angle or so, and then breaks the rising channel line. You would sell it. breaks the 20 or 21-day moving average line. If you're a faster trader, you would sell it. Some people sell the 10-day. I think that's just too fast, and you miss out on a lot of big movers that way. And then you have to re-enter. I think the 21-day is a little bit better. Certainly the 50-day. If you break the 50-day line, you'd be out. So those are my criteria: is either the 21 or the 50-day, or a rising channel line.
But so you would set it stop at what, say 10% down, and once you hit 10%, you're out? Or I mean, what is the loser?
2-3% down and you're out.
2-3%. Okay, wow. So very tight stops. All right.
Very tight, but you got to find the right base. You know, if it's got a right base, then a 2 or 3% stop is okay. If you have just an entry point out of the blue, you don't know. Right. It could just be a normal pullback, and you just bought at the wrong place, and then next thing you know, your stock goes into a normal pullback, and you're already underwater. You have a couple of 10% losses or 8% losses. They'll start adding up, and you can get underwater with your portfolio pretty quickly.
All right, we've been on the line with Dan Zanger. Chartpattern.com is his site, at Dan Zanger on Twitter. Dan, as always, great insights. Thanks for coming on today, and have a good rest of the week.
Yes, sir. You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, Joel. 8:52 here. Anything of note in the S&Ps?
Well, we're just creeping higher. It's just a little bit of rally here. Very quiet during the show here. We're unchanged at 78.75 here. Also trading mid-range. So this will be a sit on hands open here and battle it out here right at the closing price. I'm not really seeing anything yet. I don't know what's going on with our YouTube chat here, Spencer, but they are on fire here with questions about different stocks.
Yeah,
and
there's no freaking way.
What's going on here?
No way we can get to all these. There's like 30 stocks here in this chat. So let's just run through.
Let me do one.
Yeah, go.
This is an interesting chart. Scott Connor's popping in. ZUO. Zorora Inc. I know absolutely nothing about this stock.
Neither do I.
I don't know if there's any news, but what I would say, and I assume you're long, because come on, people in the YouTube chat here, admit it. You guys are mostly long players, right? And which is good because the market mostly goes up. So I'm just going to assume you're long this stock or you're looking to get long. And for this stock, you got a double bottom to lean on, 22.32, 22.41. You're $1.25 away from that. I wouldn't try and pick a top on this rally. I would move my stop up to that area and say, come and get me. I would look at the, see when it has an earnings report and things like this, and then go back on your daily charts to see if I can find anything on the dailies for resistance. And the only thing I'll give you on the daily is if I see, at least two highs in one area or a gap to fill. And, man, this ain't not much. Not much. You got a gap to fill way up there. I'm sure you'd love to see that. That's between 29.20 and 32.02. But sure, it looks like this long, stock is breaking out of a long consolidation period. Keep an eye on that double bottom 22.40 area.
All right, let's get to some tickers in the chat here. I was writing them down from before our interview, so let's just go to those first, and let's start with BHC, Bosch Health, the company formerly known as Valiant.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I had to check with Brent to confirm that was the one that changed their name from Valiant. But yeah, so BHC, let's take a look.
Well, that was a good move for them, right? That negative association with that stock. We hardly talk about it. Moving up 56 cents. Do we have any news on this one?
Yeah, they had earnings. I should have mentioned that off the top. They had earnings this morning. They beat on the EPS. They beat on the sales, and their fiscal year sales guidance was in line.
Okay, my spike off the headlines over 26. You got highs at 26.30. That's your pre-market high. Interesting, this one's had a really nice run. It's been turned back at 26.14, and it's also been turned back at 26 even. So up 56 cents. You want to see it open up here, go to 26, go 26 bid, and hold and keep on going. I don't know if someone has a large piece of stock or whatever, but 26 has been resistance in the issue. So respect that above 26. I mean, this is the highest this stock has been since September of 2016, when it had a high at 30.77. So you could go back and drill in the dailies and the weeklies to find some other resistance level. Boy,
they had some splits though. Didn't they have some
I don't know.
They did.
No.
They had.
Chat, help me out.
They must have. No, all right, maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong.
He started walking this. It was Citron, right? It started walking this thing down, and I don't. Maybe they've done some reorgs or whatever. But I'm looking at my monthly chart here, and it looks like the Valiant chart. Because that stock came down hard, but keeping an eye on 26 bucks. What else you got?
Let's go to another one from the chat here. EA.
No splits. No splits.
Okay,
just
no splits. No splits. EA, Electronic Arts here. Let's look at this chart.
Okay, so this one, a lot of news, and I'll just use my my triple D indicator on this one, which is a pretty good indicator. Right? He's gotten down and dirty in these stocks in his portfolio, and man, he wasn't too happy when this went to 72 in the pre-market on its earnings day. And then Apex Legends comes along and more good news after that. Man, I think you could get this thing cheaper. I really do. I think he ended up selling at like 105. You did go as high as 108.80. But unless you keep getting updates on this Apex, 50 million, 75 million, 100 million, I think this stock has got some backing and filling to use, would be the term. If I was looking at this right now and I was long, and I'm looking at 100.68 and 101, that's a pair of lows there. And then things really start to drop off. So it's had a big run. It's holding on. It's had a lot of good news. You need some more good news. I doubt if anybody's going to come up and upgrade, this thing at these levels, but just kind of hanging on for dear life here. And let me look at Activision. Activision rallied off its report. That's pausing. I think the only thing I could really give you an Activision here, you had a low at basically 40. You ran to 46.5. If this came back down to the 43 and a quarter area, that'd be your 50% retracement. That'd be an area of interest on the downside, ATVI, but that wasn't a stock that was mentioned in the chat. Let's go back to that one.
Well, and I want to say, Joel, you need to just do what I do and just buy the ETF. You should buy ESPO, the VanEck Esports ETF. Just buy them all.
Just buy them all?
ESPO, man. That's where it's at.
ESPN? What kind of volume does this do?
I probably light. It's been around for 3 months, so probably no volume. But
trade by appointment only.
No, I know.
23,000 yesterday. Right. Weird looking chart in that one. But you're right. You cover them all.
Chat for ticker from the chat. MGM Casino.
MGM Casino stock. I believe that was earnings, right? When they hit it, you had a big news event. You had an earnings day low. You're chugging higher here. 2 green candles. Really like to see it get back up and fill the gap here. 28.90 as resistance. You are only 40 cents away from that. Closes at 29 and 23 on the day before earnings. So I'd use another 50 cents here, resistance in MGM. All
right. Would you want to do like a couple more, Joel, you think?
Sure.
Okay, let's do a couple more.
They're buzzing today.
Yeah.
Chat's buzzing.
Yeah, let's start with Irobot here, IRBT.
That's the one.
Still breaking out.
Oh, Spencer, why didn't I listen to you on this one? This was an interesting chart. This is also a favorite of Gene Munster's. He's talked about this on the show quite a few times. What can I tell you? The stock's at a new all-time high. 120.90 yesterday, 120.51 the close. I would just wait to see if it can improve on the all-time closing high. To me, I like to see it just tick down a little bit. I use 120.51 as resistance now instead of that high at 120.90, because that is the highest anyone has ever been marked ever in this stock on their P&L. I'll just alert our traders here that you've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 up days in a row. And you know, I say a stock can never go up 6 or 7 days in a row, but this one's gone up 9 days in a row. Little bit of caution on this one. Like to see it improve on its all-time closing high of 120.51.
Yeah, and a good point from Griffin. I wanted to talk about FCX because FCX is just ripping. I mean, comparatively speaking, but the past few days and all the metals really sort of a forgotten sector, but FCX is hot.
Solar and the metals. I mean, that's been, well, the solar was just yesterday, so we'll see if you're on to something here with the solar stocks. FCX trading up another 39 cents. Did it get any more love from the street?
Nope.
Or is this just follow through on the gold and silver rally? I mean, the momentum is going your way. 270,000 shares have traded, so not like anybody's marking it up here. I will look for 14.28. That's 70 cents away. That was your October high. But let me go back here and see if there's anything else. Psychological $14 level. Yeah, you had really nothing there. 14.08, 14.28, 14.10. So that could be another target today. Actually, there's some congestion around 14. That's another 50 cents away. That's what I would use for resistance today in FCX.
All right, let's wrap up today's show with a couple of ratings. We mentioned the Goldman Sachs downgrade of Southwest Airlines. Other ratings that caught my eye this morning. Barclays upgrading the drillers, rig, Oceaneering, and Diamond Offshore all to overweight from neutral. Or that's not. They're upgrading them all to overweight. Actually, rig and Diamond Offshore are getting the double upgrade from underweight straight to overweight from Barclays. We had UBS downgrading a couple brokers. They downgraded Schwab and E-Trade. E-Trade downgraded to neutral. Schwab downgraded to sell from UBS, and the trade desk also downgraded from Stifel to hold. Those are my biggest ratings that caught my eye. This morning, I want to give a quick shout out. Thank you to all of you in our chats, both on YouTube and premarket.benzinga.com. You were buzzing today with tickers, and keep them coming. I'm going to write them down after we're done here, and we'll cover as many as we can tomorrow and throughout the whole week here on our show. But thanks for the input and the tickers. We love it, as always. Thanks to our guest, Dan Zanger from chartpattern.com. We appreciate him coming on. And please remember, all the information from our show is for informational purposes only and not meant to be an investing advice. If you missed any part of today's show, catch our podcast. We're on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, Google Podcasts, and I think I covered all of them. I did. Or just rewatch us on YouTube, youtube.com/Benzinga TV. So that'll be it for today's show, everyone. Hope you have a good day, and we'll see you on Thursday.